Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, it's Dim here. It's Wednesday, so of course I have a beauty video for you guys. Today's video, I'm going to be tackling something I know that I have gotten a lot of questions on, and it makes sense, guys. I live in Nigeria, it's hot and humid. Foundation, concealers, they separate way faster here than they do in a lot of other climates, okay? It's just what it is, okay? In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I prevent it, how I minimize it. I'm going to show you guys all the things to do. Even before I ever was ready to do this video, it's something that I was dealing with seriously for a very long time because I have obvious smile lines. But in this video, I'm going to show you guys just how to make your foundation wear a lot longer for you without creasing and separating. These tips and tricks are very important, okay? Because I've seen people say they saw people in weddings and their makeup was not even moving. Okay, some of the things I'm going to show you guys are the things that these people do or their makeup artists do to prevent their foundation from creasing and separating. I'm going to focus on 3 core main areas of the face: forehead, okay, smile lines or fine lines around your face, and your under eye area, just places where makeup tends to settle, okay? This video, I don't want it to be too long, so we're going to get right into it. So the first thing that I'm going to highly recommend that you do to prevent your foundation from creasing, separating, settling is prime. Guys, priming is so important, especially important for people who have combination to oily skin. I'm going to be priming, and this primer is NARS's, or the NARS Soft Matte Primer. It looks like this. Hopefully you guys can see. Looks like this. So I'm going to just take a little bit, maybe just a pea-sized amount, right? This much. And I'm going to apply this all over my face, okay? I'm going to focus on my forehead, this area here. This primer is not drying, guys. In as much as I have oily to combination skin, I am also not a big fan of primers that are too drying, foundations that are too drying, concealers that are too drying. I'm going to get into the concealer and foundation aspect or part of this later. I'd highly recommend that you do not use anything that is too drying, especially primer. You do not want a primer that is too drying, because the drier your skin, the higher the chances of creasing. And I'm telling you guys this from experience. You need something that will give your foundation a nice base, but something that will not dry your skin or kind of emphasize your texture, because if it emphasizes it, the complexion products just settle into the emphasized areas. Why did it take me so long to finish that sentence? So if you guys notice, I did not apply the primer like in this area of my face. I kind of focused on my forehead, brought it down the bridge of my nose, applied it on my cheeks, and then on my chin, but then I didn't apply it here, okay? And it's because I'm going to go over that area with a different type of primer, and this is an eyeshadow primer. This is the MAC Prep and Prime 24-hour Extend Eye Base, and I'm going to take very little. And guys, like, we use eyeshadow primers on our eyelids most of the time to prevent our eyeshadow from creasing. The same rationale kind of applies here. These have been made, or this particular primer has been made in such a way that it just kind of like, you know, prevents especially powder products from settling in, cream products from settling in and just sitting there. And it makes complete sense, especially in an area where you have a very deep set like line or a prominent line or crease or wrinkle. You guys get the drill. I be drift. Guys, please, talking is hard today. Why? But listen, this is the most, okay, deep set line, prominent line that I have on my face. So I'm using the eyeshadow primer in this area, okay? Because I've seen this work wonders for the lines that I have on my eyes, okay? Okay. One thing I love about this eyeshadow primer is that it dries clear. It does not leave a cast. It does not have any color payoff. It just does what it's supposed to do without leaving color behind. So for my immediate under eye area, you guys also noticed that I did not really push the foundation primer into this area, although irrespective of the fact that I have very like obvious lines here like every other person does, I am also not going to be using the eyeshadow primer in that area. One thing I just would recommend anybody do irrespective of skin type for this area is to make sure that it is moisturized and hydrated. If that area is very dry, it will make creasing very obvious. It will make it way easier. You just will not like the way your foundation will look there. One thing again, let's say even if your foundation does not necessarily separate in that area or crease, it can also look just weird. I've seen people do a lot of things to kind of mattify or like just to control oil, and then they pack a lot of powder into this area, and when the oil starts coming through, there's an obvious demarcation because this place is way too dry, right? You've not done anything to add moisture here, and then you've done a lot to take moisture away from this area, so you have this very weird contrast that you don't like. So I'm going to highly recommend that you use an eye cream. There are under eye primers. I've seen some of them here on YouTube. I don't have one of those. I'm just going to apply an eye cream in this area just to make sure that that area is hydrated. This is literally one of my favorite eye creams, and the only eye cream that I've been able to use consistently without weird bumps in my under eye area. Okay, it just sits nicely and gets the job done for me. I love it a lot, and it is the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Eye Cream. Okay, so when it comes to complexion products, the first important tip that I'm going to give is the same one that I gave when it comes to the foundation primer. You do not want foundations that are too drying. If you have dry to normal skin, you do not have anything to, you should not even have anything to do with those type of foundations in the first place. People also I've seen who have oily to combination skin or combination to oily skin, they push towards us these foundations that are very drying and mattifying. And from experience, they can actually make things worse for you sometimes. The older I have gotten and the more I've learned when it comes to makeup, I now gravitate towards foundations that have a very natural finish, foundations that are kind of luminous, foundations that give you a skin-like finish. My favorite for that is the one that I've been raving about all year, and it is the NARS Sheer Glow foundation. This has been around for a very, very long time. My shade in this is Macao. Some other honorable mentions in case, let's say, you don't have a shade in this particular foundation or you're interested in finding other foundations like this, I'd highly recommend. There's the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. Very, very good. I like the finish that you get with the Too Faced Born This Way foundation and concealers. Very good. In short, I love the concealers, especially because they give you time to blend. They give you a very natural skin-like finish. Let's say if things have kind of moved around a little bit, you still have a lot of time to actually just blend out before setting. Another foundation that I really like is the ABH Luminous foundation. This was, I think, released about 2 years ago, I think. Very, very good foundation. Another foundation again that I like that is similar to this is the Huda Beauty Fall Filter Luminous Matte foundation. So this is matte, but not like drying matte or like dry matte. It's luminous matte, so it gives you a very natural type of finish. For this video, I'll be using my NARS Sheer Glow. I'll take about 3 pumps, okay? And I'm going in with a foundation brush. This is my Zaron foundation brush. I'm going to take not a lot, okay? One thing I like to do with this is I'd want to achieve coverage, but then I also do not want to layer it on heavily. And this is key when it comes to applying foundation, okay? It doesn't matter what you're going to use to blend out or what you typically use to blend out, even if it's a sponge. So I do like these little like dabs all over, and then I begin to kind of blend them out in a very, very natural way, or a very gentle way, not natural, I would say. But then for me, I just want a very seamless finish, okay? And if I want like very serious coverage, this is the way that I'll achieve it. So I'll make sure that I apply a first layer lightly, right? Blend that layer out. And if I feel like I have to go over some parts to achieve more coverage, right? I do another layer like this. But what you don't want to do is to start out with a very heavy hand, okay? You guys can see that I have very little on my forehead because I tend to do this a lot sometimes, or frown or do stuff like this. This is also one of those areas where you can get creasing with foundation. I loved my MAC Studio Fix Fluid like so much. Like I love that foundation so much, and you guys know that I used it for a very, very long time. But one problem I know that I had with the MAC Studio Fix Fluid is the fact that it will settle into my lines like heavily on my forehead and around my mouth. It was a very, very common issue, or a very serious issue. So this is so lightweight. It will give you what you want without doing too much. You guys can see that I have very, very little foundation on my forehead, and this is very, very deliberate because this is also one of those areas that you're going to go over still with concealer. So you actually do not want to start out very, very like thick on your forehead or down the bridge of your nose. Now, in this area here, I want you guys to pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm just using what is left over on the brush after applying foundation on the rest of my face. This area here where I have smile lines and where I have applied the eyeshadow primer. This is all the foundation that I'll be applying in that area. You don't need too much. The more products you have on your face, the more likely it is to crease too. Think about it like that. Guys, you guys can see that this is a 3 pumps. I feel like I have like coverage that I'm even happy with at this point on my face, but you guys can see that I still have foundation left over on my hand, and that's just how little I am using. Guys, this is all the coverage that I will be needing for my face. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go in with concealer. So for concealer, guys, I'm going to show you guys 3 of my favorite concealers from 3 different brands, and the finish you get with these is very, very similar with what you get with the foundations that I already showed you guys. So my favorite like go-to concealer is Too Faced Born This Way multi-use concealer. I love this. It works great as a primer. Actually, it works great as a concealer to conceal. The formula is so good for spot concealing, so that's when you want to cover hyperpigmentation. The formula is also very, very good for highlighting, which is what I'm about to do now, right? So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to apply this just in this area here, right? And then maybe some here, right? What you don't want to do with concealer is to very heavily apply in this area here. You have creasing, so you need to control the way you move like your concealer into the parts of your under eye where you have obvious creasing. I'm going to dot this. So this is all the concealer that I'll be needing. Also bear in mind that I applied very, very little foundation on my forehead and in certain parts of my face. I did not even apply foundation here at all. If you guys noticed when I was blending, I kind of applied, avoiding my immediate under eye area. So I'm going to blend out now. So basically, I start out by trying to blend the concealer downwards and just into this area before I focus on the area where I have my crease or creasing. Sorry, not crease, but creases. You guys should please try and understand me. Okay. You guys can see that I'm taking out my time to blend this out, and the concealer is still blending out. The concealer is still blending, not blending. Gosh, please, my village people, leave me alone. There are some concealers that the minute you apply, you have to like blend out in fast forwarding motion. No. And this speaks volumes about the type of consistency or just formula you get with this particular concealer. It gives you room to blend. Like with this concealer, like you have time, there's some grace, you know. So 2 other concealers that I want to show you guys that I also love for my immediate under eye. One is the Huda Beauty 4 Filter Luminous Matte Concealer. These, they launched them this year. Very, very good. Okay, it actually even gives you coverage that is a little slightly more sheer than the Too Faced one, but I love it. Another concealer that I really, really love, and I've been using this for 10,000 years. Okay, it's the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, very popular here on YouTube. Guys, I'm back. I did my contour off camera, and to emphasize the things that I've said to you guys about the concealer and the foundation that I've used, I've gone to do my contour and I've come back and there's been some movement, which is normal, okay? But then it's so easy for me to go in with this blending sponge and just kind of blend out anything that has settled into the crease. And then what I'll do immediately afterward is to now just like set, okay? But one thing I just want to emphasize is that if you use a mattifying concealer, what happens or what would happen is that you're not going to be able to come back and blend out whatever has creased before setting. And that's because with a lot of mattifying concealers, like the thing is they just set really quickly. That's the point of those type of concealers, okay? They don't give you like time, they don't give you grace. So imagine you've just done your concealer and you kind of want to fix something else, but then the concealer has already set, or you smudge something and you're trying to sort it out, but then the concealer has set. I take my time and I apply powder in all the areas where I know that I tend to get creasing. So sides of my nose, I pat the powder into the skin. It doesn't have to be a lot of powder, just whatever little that you have on your brush, okay, pat it into the skin. So here, I'm not a big fan of baking or even baking for too long, but what I like to do, however, is after I've patted this in with a puff, I go in with a small brush and I set my forehead, with the same type of powder. This is my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, by the way. I set here with a brush, set down the bridge of my nose with a brush, and immediately after I go in with this and I dust all that powder off. Last thing for me is to go in with an all over setting powder, and with this I like to pat in and sweep off, pat in and sweep off. This is just going to help keep everything in place and just prevent creasing, okay? So did the rest of my face off camera, did some gloss, blush, all of that good stuff. But guys, everything that I've shown you guys in terms of application is what I've found to prevent or stops my foundation from creasing. And I'd highly recommend that you guys try it. A lot of you will be surprised by just the difference that some of these things will make. So try it and let me know how it goes in the comment section. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Mwah.